So we go over to Crystal Palace, Paul. Ruud van Nistelrooy had a really nice spell in charge of Manchester United, taking over between Ten Hag and Amorim. Could you see Crystal Palace trying to bring him in as manager if they are to move on from Oliver Glasner? Obviously, things not going well under Glasner to start this season.
No, that's not the Palace business model. They try something new. When it doesn't work, they go back to tried and tested and stay in the Premier League, because that's what they've done for years, and that's how they've always done. With Frank de Boer that came in, that didn't work very early on in the league. The owners and the chairman pressed the button early on him because they want to stay in the Premier League. The Premier League is of vital importance to Palace. We look at the new stadium, we look at the generation, the way that the club's going. Oliver Glasner came in. Listen, he changed the style of football. I was really impressed with what he did there at the end of last season. So I don't think you can panic too quickly about his managerial position. I think he proved what he can do in a short space of time last season. You look at the style of play that changed, the results changed. Under Roy Hodgson, they were questionably not scoring enough goals, defensively susceptible. He changed all that, Glasner. He changed the way that they played, he changed the results they got. And at the end of last season, I don't think, listen, I'll be honest, I did not see what was coming at the start of the season for Palace. I think nobody had them anywhere near the bottom half of the Premier League, the bottom four, bottom five. And I think they've just had a poor start. I think they've signed, I'm not so sure of the signings, and Nketiah, I don't think he's going to score the goals. I think they've been unlucky with injuries. Eze potentially injured, and Nketiah. They've got injuries going into this weekend. So results haven't been great for Palace, but I think to talk about a new manager there is a little bit too soon. But actually, for Palace and for what they've done in the past, if they are to go away from Oliver Glasner, I think we'd see a David Moyes, a Graham Potter, if you like, more likely a David Moyes type manager to ensure Premier League safety, because that's what Palace do.
And Pete, they're looking to maybe bring in another defender, Rav Vandenberg from Middlesbrough. Is that the type of signing that helps you fight a relegation battle? Somebody who doesn't have Premier League experience?
Yeah,
That's a loaded question, isn't it? Is that what you think? It's a definite loaded question. So that's your opinion and the question at the same time.
I'm not sure Vandenberg would be the answer to any relegation fight, but there's no doubts he's a talented young player. I think he got voted Young Player of the Season at Middlesbrough last year, and he is a versatile defender, primarily a centre back, can also play at right back, so he would definitely add versatility to Palace's squad if he was to make that move to Selhurst Park as well. He is the younger brother of Brentford's Sepp Vandenberg, but as I said, Palace I think do need reinforcements. I think they need something up front to help them score more goals and create more goals. Olise has been a huge miss since his departure to Bayern Munich, and then Vandenberg, as I said, probably one for the future, but I think he's somebody who could come in and add depth to Oliver Glasner's squad. I'm sure Middlesbrough don't really want to lose the Dutchman themselves. They're trying to fight for promotion back to the Premier League themselves, so I think it's a case of maybe if Palace put up a big enough offer, then Middlesbrough might have to cash in. But there is a number of clubs looking at Vandenberg. It's not just Crystal Palace as well, but as I do think that Palace are a bit short defensively at fullback and also at centre back, because I think losing Joachim Andersen was a huge blow to Palace as well in the summer transfer window. He's such a key defender. Him and Mark Gahey had such a great partnership as well, so he's been badly missed. So when you're down there fighting relegation, a couple of new faces in the January transfer window can go a long way to improving your fortunes.
And Paul, Pete just mentioned kind of trying to replace Olise. We've spoken about Kwame Poku, who's obviously been one of the best, if not the best player in League One this year, but potentially leaving in January due to his contract issues. Rangers heavily linked. Do you think he can make a step up all the way to Palace? Would that be a potential answer for Kwame Poku's future?
He's done well at Peterborough, hasn't he? He's still only 23. He's come through the lower leagues at Colchester, at Worthing. There's been a lot of talk about him at Peterborough for a long time. He's been there a while now. I covered him in a cup competition last season before. I was impressed with him. He's got something about him, and at his age, he's still got a lot of potential. Somebody's going to take a chance on him. Somebody will take a chance on him, but I don't know if Palace are in the situation where they can go into January taking chances on players. Rangers' financial situation may be one that dictates the type of player that they can move for. When we talk about Rangers and Celtic later, they're in very, very different financial situations. So Rangers' financial situation, it may make that signing more of a necessity for them. But with Poku, I do think there's a young player in there. As I say, I think we forget how young he is, and there's still more to come. And I think he's the type of player that, no disrespect to the players he's played with, but around better players, he could become a better player, and with coaching at a higher level and training and playing with better players every day, I think there's potentially something in there. So, is there a move to Palace? Maybe, but I think that the Rangers link's probably a better.
I think it
more
would be a
likely one.
gamble from Palace to try and sign a player from League One. Although he's a very good young player, top goal scorer in League One as well, to sort of place a lot of responsibility on his shoulders to try and improve things at Palace, I think would be maybe too much of an ask for Poku himself. But I know that Peterborough, they will look to sell him in January if he is not going to sign a new deal at the club, which doesn't look likely. They don't want to lose him for nothing come next summer when his contract expires. So I'd expect Peterborough will be inviting offers for Poku, and as we've mentioned, Rangers have shown interest. I think there'll be interest potentially from abroad as well, and probably from a number of championship clubs who are maybe looking for that player who could be the difference between promotion and staying in the championship. So I think there'll be a lot of clubs interested, but I just think maybe making that step up to the Premier League could be just a bit too early for him.
Those type of players that you talk about, Vandenberg and Poku, they're definitely good young players with potential who could adapt to the Premier League. But we talk about all, they're not January signings. If Palace are in trouble or they're hovering above the bottom three, you're not going to go, right, I'm going to spend X amount of million on Poku because he's guaranteed to score me 10 to 15 goals between now and the end of the season. He's a player that may take time. He's not a player that's going to have an immediate impact. Those two players you talk about, 20 and 23 years old, you're bringing those two into what may be in January a relegation battle. It's a big ask.
Yeah, and it's funny because you think Crystal Palace, these are the types of signings we're used to them making, kind of those Championship, League One, kind of smaller league signings that do end up kind of exploding at Crystal Palace. But in a situation like this, they may have to change that transfer strategy a little bit and bring in those more tried and tested players. Pete, they also have the issue of one of their minority owners, John Textor, having issues at Lyon. How important is it for them to have him figure that situation out in order to have any money?
Yeah, it'd obviously help with their finances, no doubt about that. If John Textor could sell his stake in the club to whoever wants to buy it, but it's not a straightforward process by any stretch of the imagination. Textor is trying to get as much as he possibly can for his 45% share in the club as well, so he won't want to sell at a reduced price, but those potential interested investors will know the need that Textor needs for finances right now due to the situation at Lyon, that obviously they'll try and lowball him. So it's been dragging on for a while, this one. I think just for everybody involved it needs some resolution and a clean break, and then Palace will know what they're dealing with and they'll know what their finances and budget is like, and obviously it's been something that's sort of been holding the club back probably in recent years, because Textor had initially wanted to take full control of Palace, but that wasn't viable, and then he was obviously looking to buy another Premier League club as well, so it's all gone a bit wrong with that investment from Textor into the Palace sort of hierarchy in that respect. So yeah, they need a resolution, and I'm sure Oliver Glasner would welcome some added finances into the club, so he could maybe use it for his transfer kitty in January, because as I said, if Palace are still down in those relegation places, I would expect them to be one of the busier clubs in January to try and bolster the squad to help give them the best chance of survival.
I think they've got to play Mateta every week as a 9. I think they've played Nketiah, in and around different positions off the wide as a 10, as a 9. If you brought Eddie Nketiah in, I think you've got to play him down the middle. I think that's his best position, but I think he's trying to incorporate Mateta and Nketiah. I don't think Nketiah has the same goal scoring threat as Mateta has. Look at what he did at the end of last season. He had a busy summer, hasn't started this season as a lot of people would have expected. I think you just got to give Mateta a run in the team, and I think he gets you the goals.
Yeah, I mean, Mateta was incredible at the end of last year, and then he was great for France in the Olympics as well. But yeah, you do feel like he was the key to a lot of what Glasner was doing on that run at the end of last year.